edition of our how-to videos. Today we're going to talk about repairing a water line on a refrigerator like this. Lots of folks have refrigerators like this. Ours has got these wood panels on the front. Don't pay attention to that. Underneath it's just a KitchenAid side-by-side refrigerator. And we're going to show you in a minute how to repair that water line, replace the whole mechanism inside this freezer door. First though, I want to talk to you about our channel. Up in the upper corner you're going to see a logo that lets you subscribe to our videos easily and quickly. If you just click on that, you'll get all our videos as we release them sent to you and notify you as soon as they come out. Secondly, if you think you're going to like this video, please click the like button below. That really helps us, and I think it'll help you too. If you're inclined, please comment too. We love to hear from you guys and just hear how things are going for you as you try to repair your houses. Okay, the first thing you want to do when we're replacing the line on the refrigerator is turn the refrigerator off. Now I'm just noting where the little line is. You can see here it says freezer over here. That doesn't turn the freezer off. That just adjusts how much air goes to the freezer from the refrigeration unit itself. So to really turn off the whole thing, we need to click this over to the off side here. Now we've noted where it is. We'll just put it back the same spot when we're done. Okay, so what we found is that this little spout on here was shooting water out sideways, and we looked up in there and it was broken off completely. Yours may be rotted the same way, so what we did is we went online, put our model number in, and we got the new kit for the whole door that will include the spout and some other tubing. So we're going to get inside here and we're going to show you how to replace it. Okay, the first thing we did here was take the food out of the drawer. We got this pile on the table. It'll last for a little while we're doing this. Anybody for some ice cream? Okay, now I took a lot of the screws out down here. I've got a little pile of screws around the bottom just to help speed things up. But what you want to do is pull the weather stripping back and actually find these screws under here. They're held on, this weather strip is held on by a metal plate that just clamps over the little weather strip seal. And I'm calling it a weather strip. It's probably not a weather strip. It's a door seal for the refrigerator. So we're going to take that off, take all these screws out. They're a 1/4 inch size, and we've just attached it to a drill here to speed things up, but if you have a hand driver, that's fine too. There's the last screw. Here's the door seal and the metal bars that hold it on. Now if you have a bad door seal, this is a good time to try to replace that. Ours seems to be in good shape, so we'll just lay it here to the side. Now that should allow us to access the door and all the inner parts from here. Okay, the next step is to disconnect the spout of the water from the bracket that's underneath here. So what we've done now, after we've got the end of the tube disconnected, I've just removed the bottom grill off of the refrigerator. I'm going to get a little bowl. I've just disconnected these out of the little clips that there are just to give some slack, and I'm going to try to drain this. Now this water has a shut-off valve in the back of the refrigerator, so this is not pressurized all the time, so we should be fine to remove this, but we'll find out. Okay, there we go. So we've got the line disconnected. We're getting a little bit of water draining out of the door here, but that's about it. So should be fine. Now we've got to figure out a way to remove this nut so that we can actually slide the whole water line out. Now this is a little spring that helps keep the water line from kinking at the bottom. We'll take that off too. Now we're going to go back up. We're going to pull the whole line up out of the refrigerator door. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is just disconnect this tube here, and ours has got some tape on it. I don't know if yours will have that or not. pull the line up through. And now out the front. Like that. Now here's the end of our nozzle that's all broken. Here's our new part that we have. It's got a new tip on it. So we're just going to reverse the whole process here and put it all back together. So one of the things that we've found from doing this is that the tube doesn't really hold its shape to bend down and go down, feed through the little hole in the door. So a little tip for you is to find a stiff wire like this, run that through. And I know you can't see all this, but I'm trying to give you a verbal description. But what I've got is the wire sticking out the front there. Then I'm just going to thread, or not thread, but shove the tubing over the wire. And then the wire, as I pull everything out, will help lead both things together through that little hole that was really hard to get through by itself. So the wire is a big help. Okay, we ran into a little bit of problem. We were trying to jam the tube down, and we were able to feed it all the way down the little conduit piece, but then as it comes through the bottom of the door, it's really tight down there, and we couldn't get it to go through, so we got an idea. We ran the old tube up backwards through here, and it's sticking out here, and then we took this piece of wire, it's kind of snug in here, and we're using that as a guide so that when it gets down to the bottom, it can't get jammed up, but it'll just lead. This other tube will lead it right to the right spot, and it'll come through on us. Now Jake's going to help from the top, and I'm going to pull from the bottom, and we're going to see if we can get that to come out. Got it. So that did the trick. Just a little bit of a guide wire helps a lot. So now we're going to make sure this is facing the right direction, which it's not. We'll rotate that. Put our two screws back in the front. Okay, we got the first screw in. Now let's second there. Now we've got that turned the right direction. Now we can go back to the inside, tape it up, and try to make the connection at the bottom. Now to make up this connection, we just reverse everything. We're going to slide the spring back on. We're going to cut the length. Now, one thing that you may not be aware of is that in the end of the old tube is a small metal piece like this. That is made for a plastic line to keep it from collapsing when you tighten the compression ring onto the compression fitting over here. As this nut tightens onto the fitting, it puts more and more pressure on the tubing. This little tube expander in here keeps it from collapsing. So, whoops, we need to put this on first. Almost led you astray here. Put that on first, and then put the tube expander in the end. Easier said than done here. Okay, we've had a little trouble with this, so we've got out the great persuading tool, the hammer, and we're going to try to just tap this in. I kind of have a suspicion that the inside diameter is slightly different on this new tubing than the old tubing, and that's causing this to be very tight in here. And you may decide that you think that tubing is thick enough to where it doesn't need this thing, and that's your choice. But if you want to put a little effort into it, you can get it in there, and we just did. So just so you know, that's the proper way to do it. We'll fit that all the way in where it seats into the fitting, and then thread the compression nut over the end of it. We'll tighten it back up and put it back in its clips underneath the refrigerator. Okay. Now I'm going to clip this back in here, but I'm not going to close it up yet because we want to check, once we turn the refrigerator back on, we want to try running some water through here and make sure that that fitting at the bottom doesn't leak. If it does, we got to take it back apart and put some sealer on it or something. But it shouldn't need any. A compression fitting is made to seat without it. I'll wait for you to start it. Okay. Okay, I've spent the last few minutes going back around now, and I'm working my way back up, just kind of filling in all the missing screws and making sure that the gasket is tucked under that metal bar correctly. So I've come all the way back around. Oop, little spot there that I missed. So I'm just kind of spending a few minutes to do that so that we make sure that it stays on properly. Another trick that I've learned is better too is a magnetic tip helps quite a bit. Okay, I think that's the last one. Now we're ready to make a test. Okay, now we're going to turn the refrigerator back on. And we're going to run a little bit of water through our new pipe. So we'll dump out the first cup of water just in case there's some debris in there. Now I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to check our connection underneath. It's all dry, so that's a good sign. Now it's time for a cold glass of water. Cheers.